Hello, it's Mr. Schneider again. It's podcast 2.4, and this is a rising campaign cost. The cost of running for office means candidates have to raise a lot of money. A lot of it they have to raise on their own. And just as an example, the cost of running for president, I have theirs in the billions, millions. That's wrong. It's in the millions. Let's look at this website here called Open Secrets. And if you see, this is from 2012. Barack Obama raised $715 million. Mitt Romney raised $446 million. Overall spending, blue, the Democrats spent $1.1 billion, it's with a B, and Republicans spent $1.2 billion. Where'd they get their money? From small contributors, large contributors, PACs, which we'll talk about, some self-financing. You can view all the sources. Here are their top donors. Barack Obama's top donor was University of California, then Microsoft and Google, the government, Harvard University, and then you see Mitt Romney's top donors there. If you look, if you go to view all the top contributors for all the candidates, you see how much the different candidates got. And I bet if you went down further, did a little bit more digging, you'd find a lot of companies donate money to both candidates. All right. Where do I want to go? All right.
Barack Obama, Mitt Romney, Newt Gingrich, Ron Paul, and Rick Santorum have collectively raised tens of millions of dollars already in the 2012 presidential campaign, and the race is only now beginning to heat up. So where does this money come from? Candidates like to brag about all their small donors pitching in their crumpled up 20s, but the big money people are really the forces to be reckoned with. For example, in his 2008 run, Barack Obama raised about $750 million. Only $1/4 of that came from people who gave less than $200. About half came from people who gave $1,000 or more. Still, there are limits on how much you can give to a candidate. $2,500 in the primary, the same for the general election. So the question remains, where does the rest come from? And that's where the math gets murky. For starters, there's no limit on how much you can give yourself. So wealthy candidates, and let's face it, a lot of them are pretty well off, can pour cash into their campaigns. The political parties can also flex their financial muscle on behalf of their choices. That's one reason presidents speak at those $1,000 a plate dinners to help the parties, because they know that money is ultimately coming back to their own plate. And that's just the tip of the cashberg. Next comes a bewildering array of other entities that can help a campaign. PACs, super PACs, 527s, 501c4s, joint fundraising committees, you name it. They all have slightly different rules governing how much they can take and whether they must disclose their donors. Labor unions and corporations like Microsoft and Goldman Sachs work through such organizations. Most of this money does...
All right. It really limits opportunities to run for public office. Very few people have the opportunity to run for higher levels of office because it's very difficult to raise money. If you can't raise money, or if you're not wealthy, you cannot run for office.
The average American family would have to work more than 14,000 years. The average American family would have to work more than 14,000 years. The highest paid guy in the NBA, Kobe Bryant, would have to play for 29 years to make as much money as Barack Obama spent to become president in 2008.
Yes, we can.
$730 million. This year, the winner, whether it is him again or someone else, is widely expected to spend as much or maybe more for the privilege of getting that ultimate corner office, the one with no corners. So where does all that money go? For Mr. Obama, 56% of it went to media, according to an analysis by the Center for Responsive Politics. Television, radio, and internet ads. $427 million worth. That means even at $3 million for 30 seconds, he could have bought every commercial in the last Super Bowl and half of this year's game too. Spill it. not all advertising, of course. Presidential campaigns are like rapidly growing startup businesses. That accounts for the second most expensive item on the president's tab last time, administration. About $175 million went for travel, staff salaries, shipping, rent, food, and supplies like staplers, liquid paper, and umbrellas. On the Republican side, various candidates have reported spending $32,000 on cell phones, $2,000 on floral service, and in one case, $200 on an interpreter, among other things. The next biggest item, campaign expenses. Consultants, polling units, posters, flyers, websites, and all those rallies. Bunting and balloons may be hung on trees, but they don't grow there. And on it goes. Money for fundraising events, money for unexpected expenses. Mind you, the candidates are not the only ones spending this way. This year in particular, super PACs could greatly outspend the campaigns, especially in terms of media. Unlike the candidates, these groups are not limited in how much money they can accept from businesses, labor unions, and individuals. And they're already throwing money around like there is no tomorrow. Although legally they cannot coordinate their actions with campaigns, they certainly line up behind their chosen contenders. So, how much difference does all this money make? While there are exceptions, as a rule, the candidate who spends the most or has the most spent for him wins. It's just that simple.
All right, if you have lots of money, then you don't have to ask people to donate money. So it gives wealthy people definitely an advantage when they are trying to run.
Just $40,000 in donations, Boughton can't afford fancy ad campaigns. Instead, he goes door to door and relies on Facebook, Twitter, and a handful of extremely dedicated volunteers.
How much you guys make?
Extra large pizza.
On a good night.
Even so, Boughton believes he can beat the millionaires, yachts and all.
Do you really think you can win against the big bucks?
I'm going to win this race.
And election experts agree it's possible, pointing to famous big spenders who went down in defeat.
You can spend all the money in the world advertising yourself, but if you don't have that fundamental quality that's appealing to voters, the money's just not going to buy you very many votes.
That said, in the California governor's race, former eBay executive and billionaire Meg Whitman isn't taking any chances and has donated $59 million to her own campaign.
What you can do is get your message out, and I hope that the voters will like what they hear.
Meanwhile, back in Connecticut, Mayor Boughton believes he has a message and something else.
Life isn't about money. Life is about relationships that you build. It's about helping your community. That's what it's really about. It's not about what's in your pocket. It's about what's in your heart.
And while the mayor has a great message, it's unfortunate that too often that's not true. If you have a lot of money, you can buy a lot more advertising, which is a big thing in campaigns. So it definitely gives an advantage to individuals, wealthy individuals who run for office. Encourages the development of political action committees. These raise money and they make contributions to the campaigns of political candidates whom they support. And they also try to vary different political. They want different laws passed. They want different rules made. They try to have a lot of influence when it comes to politics. Here's a very important PAC, especially for you dog owners.
Take a walk in one of San Francisco's picturesque parks, and it won't take you long to notice there are more dogs here than children. Now, dog lovers here have formed a political action committee, or PAC, to promote the interests of their four-footed friends. With an estimated 100,000 dog owners in the city, Dog PAC could have a major impact in the November election. The PAC's president, Bruce Wolf, yes, that's his real name, let owners know about an upcoming mayor's forum Dog PAC is hosting.
I want to make sure everybody has a chance to hear the candidates. on these kinds of issues. Dogs are as much an issue as children. And there are parent-teachers associations. We're just like them, but only for the dogs.
All different people and all different industries have lobbyists and political action committees looking out for them. I think it's good for dogs.
And there are many interests that are aligned against the rights and privileges of pet owners. And so to counter that, we have to, be organized.
The voter bloc is not going unnoticed in the city's political circles.
Nothing is unusual in terms of political activism here in San Francisco. And we have a lot of dog owners here in San Francisco, and they are very passionate, and the issues that come up are very serious.
The big issue that has owners on edge is a proposal to close down parkland where dogs are allowed to run off-leash. Environmentalists say the dogs threaten native plants and animals. Others are concerned about the risk of dog attacks. But owners say properly trained dogs should be allowed to run free in some areas.
There are some dogs that need to be on a leash. It's really more about the handler, the people on the other side of the leash, that really need the leash.
The PAC says they'll support candidates who pledge to look out for man's best friend. Those who don't could end up in the doghouse. Haven Daily, Associated Press, San Francisco.
As I said, a very important PAC. Special interest groups have a lot of influence on campaigns also. When you form a special interest group, you can donate a lot more money than an individual can to a candidate. So let's talk about special interest groups here for a moment. right, so those are special interest groups. All right, that's the podcast 2.4. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good day.